Welcome to another episode of the Roughly Related to Reselling podcast. My name is Perry Phillips. I go by Perry Flips with a Z on Instagram, Podhead Picker on X. Flips and Giggles is the eBay store, and that's also the Facebook page as well. If you like the show, make sure you subscribe and tell your friends. Make sure you hit the notification so you know exactly when a new episode comes out. And spread the word. This is episode 70. 70 episodes. I think I've done like 68 of them by myself. I might have guessed for like maybe 2 or 3. My math might be off on those, but just back from vacation. I didn't think I was going to be able to do a podcast this quickly because we did one last week. I did one last week, and then I went on vacation, and I'm like, I was just kind of half expecting it to be like run-of-the-mill vacation, but there's some stuff that happened and got some stories to talk about. But man, dude, anytime going back from vacation, like the next day, it's better now because I like I like the business that I'm in, and I like, being a business owner, and I like, watching my kids and being a stay-at-home dad. But it is like this, because it's like my wife was with me the last, I don't know how many days. And so, like, it's both more difficult and less difficult when you have an extra person because you're used to doing it one way. And so, like, you have another person who just kind of comes in and it kind of fucks up your shit. Not intentionally, but it's like, you have a way you do things, and then you add a second person in part of the time. It just kind of makes things a little bit more difficult. But, the day after a vacation, I would love to have 2 parents, regardless of the situation, regardless of whatever. And my wife is working today. So luckily we got back yesterday, and my mom was like outside or something when we pulled in, so the kids saw her. So I was like, all right, just go over there and fucking bother my mom. My mom lives on the same property, but like trying to get her to watch the kids sometimes it's been better lately, but like initially it was like you'd have to like fucking negotiate harder than you're at a yard sale, you know what I mean? Like haggling for how to get these kids to be babysat for you for just a few hours. And so, we got back from the vacation. They went over there, and I was able to put everything away, get everything in, and then take everything, even the stuff that I got. Because anytime I go up there, anytime we go on vacation, I'm buying stuff so we can write the trip off. But yeah, there was hit some thrift stores. The thrift stores up there, I've done really well. Like I told that story last week, and I've told the story before about the baby alien. And I found it in one of the thrift stores there. I went to that same thrift store, and I got to be honest with you, I've not found anything in that thrift store since that day, and anything, I think that was the first time I've been in there, but I've not found anything in that store since I found that doll. Nothing. So we got there like Wednesday, and typically when we go like on the weekends, and we leave like, Monday, Tuesday, and those are usually the days that the thrift stores are all closed. So like I don't always get to do a ton of thrifting, but this time I just kind of skipped them. There was a couple, like I was like, oh, we're by this one. Let's just like, hop out and go over there and check it out. And all of the thrift stores were just not. I found one like vintage. It was like literally sitting there staring at me when I walked in. It's probably like a $25 shirt. It's not anything crazy. I actually wore it the other day. It was just like a vintage tank top with like cool neon colors. It was just like hanging as soon as I walked into this thrift store. But other than that, I didn't really find anything in the thrift stores. I know that there's probably good ones, and I could probably find them if I like drove around and searched. But then I feel bad because it's like, my whole family's there. I don't like to take up the whole morning with my nonsense, even though it is, technically, paying for a lot of the stuff that we're doing. So yeah, it was, sorry, I just got sidetracked. So I put my store on vacation mode. I probably didn't even need to. I think I got a sale. I think I might have gotten one sale that would have had to been shipped out. But most of my sales like were purchased on Thursday and on, and I got 2-day shipping. So like anything sold on Thursday would not have to go out until I think Monday, technically. So I technically didn't need it, but I had it on vacation mode. It didn't, I mean, it hurt. I don't think it hurt my sales much. I still was selling stuff. I think it hurt more that I wasn't listing as much. I still was listing, here and there. I've just been slowly working through those t-shirts. Those t-shirts are kind of underwhelming as I was going. You get a haul sometimes and you're like, man, this was an awesome haul. I'm going to make so much money. And then you start going through it and you're like, okay, I'm going to make money, but like I'm already profitable on that haul of t-shirts and I haven't sold any of the other ones, just that one for cash. I sold one for cash to my vintage clothing friend there. And so I mean technically, I already like doubled my money almost. I paid $50 for everything. Well, $40 for the clothes and then like $10 for another couple things. So technically, $40, I definitely doubled my money. But yeah, the initial wave of excitement when you're like finding all these shirts, you're like, oh fuck man, I'm gonna be making so much fucking money. And then you go to list them and you're like, oh, nobody's gonna buy these fucking shirts. No, they'll sell. I know I've got some stuff that'll sell. But yeah, I'm just like, man, I'm kind of underwhelmed. The shoe haul that I got has been pretty good. I've sold a bunch of shit from that haul, and I still have a bunch of shit to list. Like I just got to kind of clean up the last couple pairs of shoes. But yeah, I mean, I came home with a bunch more clothes. I just have so much clothes. Today, once I'm done with the podcast in a little bit, I'm gonna take the kids in the pool after this. After I wrap things up here, but then I'm gonna start organizing. I'm gonna do another Whatnot auction. If you came to the last Whatnot auction, you probably were the only one because there was nobody. I did it at like a random time and I announced it like 2 days prior. And it was just all Starbucks tumblers. So now I've got like all these Starbucks tumblers that I'm just like, well, I'm just going to throw them in a yard sale pile. Yeah, I thought that was going to be a better investment. I mean, I didn't pay much for them. I think I paid $10 for the whole box of them. So, if I sell them for $1 a piece at my yard sale, I'll be profitable. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, the first Whatnot sale was like, or not the first one, but this was the third one I think I did. For those Starbucks coffee tumblers, it was nothing. Like I fired it up or whatever, got on the app and was waiting, and nobody came in. Nobody even like popped in to see what was going on. Like it wasn't even like, it was just nothing. Nobody was interested in that shit. So now I'm like, I want to do a bunch of t-shirts because I've got so many t-shirts and I've got stuff that's just been sitting in my, in my inventory forever that just hasn't sold. There's some certain stuff that I'm just shocked that hasn't sold. Like I've got these Bathin' Apes, like I've got a Bathin' Ape One Piece, the anime t-shirt. And it's a youth size, but it's like a youth size 3X. So it's just like a regular, like it's maybe a men's large. So, it's like not the biggest shirt, but it's also not like a shirt that's like, going to be, it's not the biggest shirt, but it's also not like a shirt that's like going to be like a baby size shirt. You know what I mean? Like a kid's size. So, I've just got a bunch of shirts and stuff that like I just my that's what takes up the most space in my area. And so I've got a bunch of spots, like a big bin, and like it's just everywhere and it's not organized. Like I can find stuff, like I know my brain is weird. Like I'm very bad at organizing. Like I used to go visit my mom at work. And I would go to her desk and her desk would just be it would look like somebody just came in and just dumped all of their shit down like on the desk and was like, here, fucking figure this out. You know what I mean? Like that was how she would keep her desk at her work. And I remember being like, how do you do this? Like, how do you find anything? Like, and she's like, I know where everything is. Like, I know how it works. And that's like how my brain works. I got that weird. It's like as much, and I try to be organized. I do. I try to be a little bit more organized. But like when it comes to clothes and stuff, they're not even organized by size. They're not, like, they're barely organized by type. You know what I mean? Like, they're definitely not organized by gender. They're like barely organized by like pants and shirts. But I saw somebody post on, I think it was on Instagram, it was somebody I follow. I can't remember which account it was. It was some reseller account. And he had posted like his setup of how he has his, like all his clothes and stuff. And he has like each one in an individual like Ziploc bag with the SKU number on it. And I'm like, man, if I could get that organized, like, my wife's pretty organized and she's always like, hey, how can I help you? And I just need to be like, hey, do this. Like, focus on this. Fucking do this. Organize all of these clothes. But I have a ton, too, that have been sitting, and then, like, you know, some that are just, like, didn't end up being worth enough to, like, sell on eBay. But if I'm doing, like, a big vintage T-shirt blowout, like, it's probably going to be a 3-part sale. Just to try to blow out as much of the nonsense that's just been sitting, like all these Harley shirts. I remember I got a bunch of Harley shirts in like North Carolina. I didn't pay much for them because I was like, all right, sweet. I'm definitely gonna make some money on these. I don't think I've sold a single. Like I used to sell Harley shit all the time. Like even like the basic stuff, it was just like, you know, even like a couple bucks, and none of them have sold. I don't know. I gotta check the prices. Maybe I haven't dropped prices down on them, and that's why they haven't sold. But, yeah, those, hold on, sorry. You know the drill. Every time I'm trying to do this podcast, I'm like, I just got to make sure that my kid is sleeping and not. I just went up there. Oh, she is at the fucking gate. God damn it. All right, hold on. Let me pause this shit. All right, I'm back. Oh, man. Just as I was talking about, you know, how much nicer it is to have both parents home when you get back from a vacation, like the day after vacation. His kid has another shit. I already went up there. She went on the potty and took a shit, and I was like, all right, cool. I had a feeling it wasn't done. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, it was a big shit, but it wasn't like a big one. So then she was just standing there, and she's been doing this thing where she fucking pulls her whole pants down, and she's just like, I have poop. So that's what I just had to run up and deal with a bunch of shit. And then she's like, I want to play with my sister. I'm like, well, no, sister's resting in her, and like we have to keep them separate. So we keep her, the youngest, in our room, and my oldest stays in mine, in my wife's room. And she like has like her little things. She has a nap. She gave up on naps, but the younger one actually needs to nap. Like I wouldn't waste my time with nap because it's a huge pain in the ass. Like before it was like, oh fuck yeah, nap time. Like, well, with my first daughter, nap time sucked. Like trying to get my first daughter to nap was a pain in the ass. So then when my second one came along, it was like such a relief because it's like, oh, nap time is like, it's a breeze. She just goes right down. And now we're like in a stage where it's like, sometimes it's just like she goes right down. Sometimes she doesn't, but she needs it every day as of right now. You know what I mean? If we were to get her in the car and just take a drive, she would immediately fall asleep. So she definitely needs the nap. But like, you know, it's just like, I don't know. You know what I mean? At a certain point, we dropped my oldest daughter's nap. But she still like does a rest. You know what I mean? She still goes up and rests because I need a break. These kids today, they've been doing the back and forth, and it's like they don't plan it. They don't talk about it. They're obviously not old enough to think about things like this. But it's just like, I'll tell one, I'm like, hey, don't do that. You're going to like get that. Like they were by my shirts. Like I had a pile of shirts that I had to clean. So I'm like, I try to get like, keep a pile right here so I can get stuff done. It's in one corner of the room. Mind you, the entire room has been cleaned. Well, now it's a mess. But it was cleaned. We cleaned before we went on vacation because I didn't want to. I hate coming back to a messy house. So we did make sure we cleaned it before we left for vacation. And yeah, so like when we came back, like, you know, I had a little pile from what the stuff that I got from the weekend. I'm like, oh, I'll get to this shit sometime today, you know, like while the kids are playing or whatever. I'll start taking pictures of this or organizing it or, you know, seeing what needs to be cleaned, whatever. And so at some point of the day, one of the kids is like just fully get shit all over their face, like all over their hands, because they're not at the table eating where they're supposed to eat. And she's just like creeping closer and closer to the shirts. I'm like, what are you doing? You don't need to be over there. Get away from that stuff. Back up. Come over here. This is like one tiny corner of the room has this stuff in it. Just stay on the other rest of the room. Like, you don't have to be anywhere near this. And as soon as I got done telling that one to get away from him, I turn around, the other one's walking up to him. The older one. So it's like, you know what the fuck I'm saying. You hear the words coming out of my mouth. I'm like, don't do that. And I turn around, she's got this look like she's looking at me as she's doing it. So that's like the type of shit they've been doing all day, is one will do one thing that they're not supposed to, and then I'll tell them not to do it. And then the other one immediately does the same thing and is like shocked that they weren't supposed to do it. Sorry, I know this is a reseller heavy podcast, but it's also parenting. If you look at the description, it says parenting on there too. So figured I'd just get into some of the parenting shit. I never have like helpful parenting advice. It's just all the times that I feel guilty or feel like a piece of shit parent. Yeah. You know, I snapped on my daughter last night. I don't even know where it came from. It was like, because it was like the end of the night, and we had driven home. We had cleaned up, and it was like, you know, the day was done. And so my youngest was just like freaking out. And, yeah. And then like, I don't even know what, I was walking down the stairs because she just kept screaming. At one point she was like ripping the gate off the door. So my wife didn't see this part. Like, she was doing that, like pulling the gate off the door. So I had to fix the gate like one time. So I went downstairs and she was like fucking screaming about something. And I don't know why, it snapped. I was like, all right, I don't want to deal with this all night. Like, we've been dealing with this shit all weekend, these fucking attitudes. And I just like, obviously it didn't make things better. It was like, and I instantly felt like an asshole and instantly was like, fuck, how can I make this right? But, so she was like screaming about something, like, and everything is, she wants my wife to do it. Like, everything is like, my wife has to do it. Like, mama has to take me out of the car. Mama has to change my diaper. Mama has to take me to do this. I can't do anything. And my oldest like feeds into it now too. So she's like, no, I want mama to do it. So it's like, she knows she's causing problems while she's doing it, because she's like, oh, mama's occupied, so I'm going to ask for her, even though dad, you know what I mean? I'm like, well, I'm here. And so like, now it's gotten to the point where we're just like, you're getting the fuck out. Like, we're not doing this waiting for mama shit. And so, you know, she was wanting mama to do something last night. I can't even remember. And she just started like fucking around with the gate again. So I just ran up there. I don't even know why. Again, I don't know why. My wife was like dealing with it. I was fucking going downstairs to play video games. And I just like ran up and I went, knock it off. Like, yelled, scared my daughter. Like, she jumped back. And because she had been fucking with the gate, it looked like I ripped the gate off of the door hinge, like, as I was trying to open it to pick her up to put her back into her bed. And so my wife was like, she was like, whoa, like, what was that? And I'm like, all right, you know, I went downstairs. I was like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that was. We've been stuck with these kids, not stuck with these kids. You know, obviously I love my children, but when you're on a vacation, again, it's like, you don't have like a home base. So you're just constantly like, we had a home base, like, you know, a cottage we were renting, but it was like, you know, you would waste so much time going back to the cottage, to do stuff that like, it just wasn't worth it to go back there. So like, a lot of the time you're just in the car, and the entire time, you know, my kids were just like in a, what are those milestones or whatever? I don't know. They're definitely going through some shit. Because it was like my oldest all day. What day was it? Thursday. So Thursday we were like, all right, like I was just on fire with like the planning. I don't know how it worked, but like I kept making suggestions, and my wife was like, "Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't think about that. That's a great suggestion." Like, that type of thing. Like, oh, let's do this, and then we'll go and do this, and then we'll go and do this. You know what I mean? It was like we'll figure out one thing to do, then the next thing, and then the next thing. And so Thursday, and my thing is like I've talked on this podcast before about how I hate the beach. Man, I hate the fucking beach. It's the best part about the beach is leaving. And like obviously I had fun with my kids. We're walking around, like, there's girls in bikinis and shit to look at. You got the sunglasses on. So it's not, it's not like anything against that stuff. It's just the constant threat of like, oh, these kids could be swept away from a riptide. Like a stranger could just walk by and grab our kids while we're like not looking, and then just disappear into a crowd, like, because it's always packed at the beach. It's just all that shit, all the like the anxiety, like the ridiculous parenting thoughts that like, most of the time, as long as you're watching your kids a little bit, it's not going to happen. So I was like, all right, let's go on, we got there Wednesday. I was like, let's go Thursday. We'll go Thursday to the, why am I drawing a blank? I was like, we'll go Thursday to the beach. I'm like, yeah, we'll do that. We'll go Thursday to the beach. And then that way, it's done. It's out of the way. So we went, did Thursday beach, got that out of the way. I'm trying to remember the whole day because it was bang, bang, bang. Like we did a lot of shit. So then after that, I think we went back and did like a playground maybe. I'm trying to remember. We did a bunch of shit. I'd have to ask my wife, but it was just like a day of stuff. You know what I mean? We went from one fun thing to the next. I think that day we went back to the hotel, the cottage for a little bit too, and chilled out. So like I say all that to say this. So I do all this fun stuff. It's just like pools and fucking events and like, walking around. We went and saw goats. Did a bunch of fun shit. And so then and then we went to like an arcade. A playground, and then an arcade, like a playground with an arcade across the street. So my kids went and played at the playground, then they went to the arcade, and then went out to dinner. Like had a whole long fun day. Like they got prizes at shit. They got to do a bunch of shit. And then my daughter asked to do something at the end of the day. I don't remember what it was, and I was like, nah, baby, it's been a long day. It's time to go home. Like we'll do stuff tomorrow. And she's just like, fine, you never take us to do anything fun. And this is like, I know she's 5 years old. I know she's like working through some shit. But I'm just like, we just fucking did. And of course, I'm not saying this to my 5-year-old. But in my head, I'm like, we just fucking took this little ungrateful piece of shit. Let me look up to the top of the stairs, make sure she's not listening. We just took this ungrateful piece of shit like all over the goddamn state of Maine. And because we didn't let her do one thing at the end of the day, she's going to like have a shit fit. So that was like really, that shit annoyed the fuck out of me. But then after that, she was better. But then today she's like back to that same, it was like the first 2 days of the vacation she was like that. And then after that, she was good, and her sister was kind of the issue. They kind of took turns. And when I say issue, it's not even like, they weren't like the problem child, like fucking one of my favorite movies. But they weren't like that level. It was just like, whining. And the little one was acting like the older one. So hers was more like imitating it. So I'm like, I'm trying to get my older one to be on board. But it was like literally, we'd be like, all right, we're going to go do this fun thing today. but we just got to go like stop here first to get some breakfast, and then we're gonna go. And it was just like complaining, constant complaining, like, what? Well, I want to go do that now. It's like, dog, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get to do that stuff. Like, the only reason we're here is to do shit with you. Like, we're gonna do fun stuff. So yeah, after the attitudes kind of subsided, that was the big one, was just like the constant attitudes of like, and obviously the little one was copying the big one, so it was just hard to be like, hey, stop, knock it off. But my little one doesn't. Like, the older one, you can be like, hey, don't do this. The little one, she's just like, no. Like, that's how the older one was when she was younger. She wasn't like that, like, no. She was like, sure, I'll do it, whatever. She was kind of like more open to listening. But my my youngest now, she's like, no. So she was kind of a problem for some of the time. But yeah, it was, it was pretty hot. I mean, it wasn't as busy as it was pretty busy. This is the middle of the busiest season in Maine. And we just like go to the touristy part. Like, I try to go further up north and try to go exploring, but we never make it too far. I think the most north we ever make it is like Portland or Biddeford. We don't ever go up further than that. We usually, it'll be easier once they're a little bit older, but it's like you got to be close to a bathroom everywhere. If getting stuck in traffic is like, no bueno. And yeah. So back, I always like getting back to from vacation, because I'm just like, I want to get back into my routine. I wasn't working out. I brought my workout stuff, and then like I think I worked out the first day we got there, and then we just like didn't have time to do shit. I fell asleep every night. I felt so bad for my wife, because I was getting up early, and like a couple of the days I got up early to go out to sales, and then like I just wake up early naturally, and the bed wasn't comfortable. Like, situations need to be perfect for me to sleep past a certain time, which is why, like, if I don't go to bed early, I'm fucked. So I try to go to bed as early as I can, but it always ends up being like 11:30, the earliest that I go to bed. 12 o'clock is like the latest that I'll go to bed. But anyway, sorry, I just got distracted again. What the fuck was I talking about? Bed, sleeping? I know I was talking about sleep, but I don't remember the point I was trying to make. Oh, yeah. So at night, so we would like get back from whatever we were doing. Mind you, we would like be walking, and I would carry everything, you know what I mean? And carry like, one of the kids half the time. And so by the end of the day, I was just like fucking tired. And like we would do the kids' bedtime, and then like I would just immediately be ready for bed. Like, if I went and sat down on the couch, I would go and sit down on the couch and just immediately pass out. And I did that like 3 nights in a row. I stayed up one night, and we started to watch a movie or something like that, and I fell asleep. But it was like the kids weren't going to bed early either, you know what I mean? I think that's what happened the last time we went on vacation, is like the kids stay up until I don't know what time. But my wife's out out in there fucking around with them. Not like fucking around, like making fun stuff with them, but she's just like, not appeasing, but like, I just ignore. I'm like, just ignore them. Like, she's like, well, she's keeping the other kid awake. It's like, well, yeah, she's gonna go to sleep at some point. Like, just fucking let them sleep, or let them just fucking get their sillies out, whatever. And yeah, So I forget the point I was trying to make with that story. I'm sorry. I just got distracted with these fucking kids. It's just been a long week with kids. I'm sorry for the kid heavy episode. I'm trying to think of like the order of telling these stories. I guess I could talk about what did I do the week before. I'm trying to think of where I went for sales last week. I think last week sucked a dick for sales. I think I finally did my podcast. I think I did the podcast on Friday. I did the podcast like Friday last week to try to get it in. And then Saturday was like the sales. I don't think I even got I got like a couple of Adidas track jackets, and then I got like I don't even remember. I can't even tell you what it was that I got. Just the Adidas track jackets are all that I remember. Maybe a couple other things. It was really shitty Saturday. It was really shitty, and then Sunday, I don't think there was any, like, normally there's like one or a bunch of, like, every year it's weird. Sometimes like Sundays get popping, sometimes it's Saturdays. This year it's just kind of been not even popping. It's just been like, I don't know. I wouldn't even say consistent. It's just kind of like mediocre maybe. But then when we went up to Maine, I was like, I'm like, oh man, like we always come when it's like the shittier weather. Like, it's cooler or whatever, and there's like not a ton of yard sales. And so we came when it was like hot and nice out, and there still weren't. I mean, I drove around for a bit, and I know we're in like the vacation spot, but I drove around like some of the back roads. I kept finding signs too. That was what was driving me nuts too, is I would find signs, and then they would be like, just I couldn't figure out where they were pointing. And I'm like, I'm not going to drive down this long ass road looking for another sign. No dates, no addresses, barely pointed in any one direction. Like a couple of them were at intersections where it's like, okay, you could be pointed at any three of these streets right now, and they could all be right or they could all be wrong. So in retrospect, I kind of wished that I had like just driven around a little bit more on Saturday. But I was also trying to include my family. You know what I mean? Because like I didn't want to leave my wife there in the morning. It's always, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, especially when you're picking yard sales to start with. Because there was a yard sale advertised. It said that they had 97 houses, 97 participants or whatever, and it was probably like 35 minutes without traffic, like 40 minutes with traffic. It's crazy how that 5 extra minutes, like if I see a sale that says 40 minutes as opposed to 35 minutes, I'm like 40 minutes, I'm like, I'll really consider 40 minutes, but if it says 35, I'm there regardless. So this one was about 40 minutes from where we were staying, and it said like 97 houses. It was like huge neighborhood sale. It was like in this, big nice neighborhood complex. And I always forget how shitty these sales are. Like sometimes you can get lucky, and sometimes it's just you're not going to find shit. I found a couple jerseys, like a couple Bulls jerseys, but the ladies' prices were kind of crazy, so I had to kind of haggle on them. And I still didn't even really get them for a price that I wanted. There was a bunch more jerseys that I wanted, but her prices were just fucking crazy. And she kept saying they were for somebody else, and she was like, never once asked the other person. She was just like, nah, he wouldn't want to take that. So it was very confusing, and I thought we'd be able to like walk around to a bunch. There was probably, I would say, less than 20 sales, and the ad said 97 houses. I had to look again to make sure I read it right. So those things are always, it's like, where do you get your numbers? Like, did you just like assume that people were going to do it? Did people sign up to do it and then they decided they had too much shit to do? Like, yeah, I don't get it. I'm like, I can't. So, hold on a second. I got to pause this real quick. All right, I'm back. Sorry, she was like, my daughter was like jumping on the couch. I already forgot what the fuck I was talking about. Oh yeah, 97 houses. It just reminded me of 37 from Clerks. 37. Try not to suck any dick on your way back to the parking lot. It's like, what does he say? Hey, my girlfriend sucked 37 dicks in a row. Hold on, I gotta pause this shit again. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I wasn't sure if today was a good day to do the podcast. It might not turn out to be the best day to do the podcast. I'm like, I feel like this kid I have to beat. I think I'm gonna end up having to beat this kid. Like, she doesn't fucking listen to anything. I don't know what she's doing. She's looking into the camera. I don't want to talk about her doing nonsense shit this whole time. So, all right, I'm going to go back up one more time. Then I'm going to try to come back and finish this fucking podcast. Hold on. Oh, Jesus Christ. These fucking kids, man. I'm sorry. If you don't have kids, you don't understand how fucking annoying it is when you're trying to get shit done. And they're just doing nonsense for no reason. And you're like, fuck, well, it's just kid shit. You know what I mean? It's just kid shit. It's just kid shit that they do. But it's like she's now crying. I went up there because she was fucking around. And she like thought she was cute and giggling. I didn't even yell. I just said, hey, get in your bed. Like quietly because I wasn't trying to fucking get the other kid riled up. So I'm like, get in your bed now. I'm not playing games with you. That's all I said. I picked her up, put her in her bed. She starts bawling. She's like, Mama. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? So she's definitely tired. I feel like this entire episode is just me talking about this fucking kid. But yeah, this is the kid. If ever I had to beat a kid, this would be the kid that I would have to beat. Because she just does not... She's not like... Nothing phases her. Except for apparently that. Me going up there telling her I'm not done playing games. But yeah. Anyway, I'm done talking about that. So... 97 sales. Let me start from, let's see, yeah, because the week before that sucked. So we got there Wednesday, and then Thursday, was it Thursday? Yeah, it was. So Thursday we were like, all right, we're going to go. So now it's starting to make sense, starting to remember how the order of things. So Thursday we went to the beach early, got that stuff out of the way, and then after the beach, we were like, oh, we're going to go down. I was wanting to get a lobster roll. And so there was this place like down by the water. It was about 45 minutes to an hour from where we were at. And we had never been there. So we're like, oh, this looked like it was a cool spot for kids. Like they had like all these cool big rocks you could climb on and shit and walk down to the water. The rocks were like, because of the way the water had been like going over these rocks look like driftwood. Like at first I was like, you're walking on these rocks and you're like, is this wood? And like you kind of look, and then it looked like there's like wood chips all over the floor. And as you pick them up, you're like, oh, these are little things of rocks, and they all look like driftwood, like, you know, like wood that comes from the ocean that's all like whatever, warped or whatever from being in the water. And that's how this rock was. It was like this giant rock cliff that had been like just from the water. So that was pretty cool. We went there, got some food. I got some lobster rolls that were pretty good. And then, and so we finished up eating. And like the parking lot situation, this parking lot was crazy. It was like hard to get in and out of. It was like, but right when we got there at like noonish, something like that in the afternoon. I can't remember. And like the parking lot situation was crazy already. So we found like the last spot there. My wife's like, are you sure you can park here? Are you sure you can park here? We thought it was the last spot. 2 more people fit in next to us after that. I was surprised. I was like, God damn. Didn't touch my car, but like they would still fit in. And so we got lunch there. There was like a long ass line for these lobster rolls. But they were good. They were good lobster rolls. And then you finish up. And so we were getting ready to go. And I'm driving out, and I'm like, literally as soon as we pull out of the parking lot, I'm like driving up this little side street. And I see like stuff out on a front lawn or like in a driveway. So I'm like, that looks like a yard sale. Like, looks like somebody's setting up a yard sale. So I pull over and I get out of the car, and I see the yard sale sign on the opposite side. So I go over and I look. It was like mostly junk, but they had a Bose, like one of the 2 sets CD player Bose things, the CD players with like that sit stacked on top of each other, which I needed one to test another one that I have. So this one worked fine. I paid like $25 for it. The guy was like, that was his initial number, was $25. I was like, would you do $20? He's like, no, I just put it out. It's too early in the weekend. It's like, how much money do you think you're going to keep this thing hanging on here so you can make $5 extra? Like, that mentality is so retarded. I swear to God. Like, you're having a yard sale. I'm here interested in this item. Of course, you don't have to take my money, but like the idea that I just put this out for my yard sale, I'm going to wait to see if I can get more money for $5. Like, you're not having this yard sale to make $5 extra. You're having this yard sale to get rid of shit. And I could tell you're trying to get rid of shit because everything other than this Bose is junk. So I paid the $25 because I'm like, I know it's worth, a lot more than that. But still, and obviously, yes, he could say no. He has every right to say no. He was polite. I was polite. It's just funny to me that it's like, you're like, oh, I just put this out here. So yeah, I'm gonna wait to see if I can hold on for $5 extras. What if nobody else came by looking at that Bose? What if I was the only one? You know what I mean? Like, you didn't advertise your sale. I just happened to be at this restaurant and happened to driving by like as you were setting up. I finally saw his ad like Sunday. That was on Thursday that that I had stopped by there. So I started the weekend off with that. I got that Bose thing. So that was pretty good. I'm like, all right, that'll pay for dinner that we just fucking spent a bunch of money on. It was like $65 for the 2 lobster rolls. And they weren't even big lobster rolls. I mean, they were good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a big lobster roll guy because I'm like, one, it's always crazy expensive. And either they do one of two things. They either put way too much lobster, which shouldn't be a complaint, but it is, because it's just like, I don't need this much lobster. And if I'm paying for this lobster, then just charge me less and don't give me as much. But then this place did like the opposite, where they do like, it's just enough to fit in the bun, which it's like, that's probably the perfect amount. But then you're charging the same amount as the people who are loading their fucking lobsters up with or lobster rolls up with like lobster. So it's just not like, it's just, it doesn't make sense to me. And lobster, I'm, as somebody who like grew up in New England and has had lobster and crab and shit for however long, I can tell you crab is 10 times better than lobster. If you've never been to Massachusetts and you're like, oh, I got to go try lobster, or Maine rather, like Maine lobster is obviously pretty bomb, but it's not like, it used to be cheaper when you got it up in Maine, but like everywhere we went, it seemed like it was like the same price as Massachusetts. The grocery store had $10 lobster rolls. So if that's where you want to get them, they probably were better than everywhere else. You know what I mean? But yeah, this grocery store had like $10 lobster rolls. I think it was Hannaford's. So I was like, I almost was tempted to do that. We spent $65 on our 2 lobster rolls for me and my wife. That's why it was like one of those, all right, I'm going to go somewhere and get lobster. Like, we made it a thing to go get lobster roll at this place because I was like, I want the best lobster roll. So I like looked it up to see what the best place was in that area. And everybody said that place was the best. So it was fun. We had a good time. So that was Friday. That was Thursday. So then there was like a couple Friday sales. There was one, it was like a multi-vendor sale for like homeless kids. Like, the way she was describing it, she was like, yeah, it's for kids who are like, sleeping couch to couch. They're don't really have a place to call them home, their own. I'm like, homeless kids. You're doing a thing for homeless kids. Like, people would probably be more inclined to help you out if you just said you were helping homeless kids. But I think she thought that people would be like, oh, fuck these homeless kids or something. I don't know. She was just kind of saying it like, she was describing homelessness, and then she was like wording it like it wasn't homelessness. I was like, oh, they're homeless. You're helping homeless teenagers. Like, that's all you had to say. So I went there, and there was like, I got a few vintage t-shirts and stuff. I got like a vintage Nike, nothing crazy. And then that was probably like the most stuff I got was from that sale. And then I got some like vintage Halloween stuff. And then all the other sales that I found on Friday were like resellers. Like, they had more reseller sales than we do out here. And the problem is I'm not out there all the time. So like, I don't know who's you know what I mean? When you're out here, people will post. Now I realize why people post their dumbass fucking ads every week like they're actually a new sale. And it's because you will get people who come from out of town who are like, oh, I'm going to go to this sale, and they go, and it's all the same bullshit that they've had posted on and for weeks and months on end. So yeah, it was a lot of that. It was like a lot of like craft. Like I went to a few that were like just people selling their own homemade crafts. I'm like, that's not a yard sale. You need to be a vendor at a craft sale. You just wasted everybody's time with this fucking shit, including yours, because nobody's going to come here and buy your dumbass crafts. They're all going to be so mad that you just wasted their time luring them to a craft sale that they're going to fucking walk out. And then Saturday I went out. I was like, oh, I'll go out. There's a few sales that started. One started at like 7, and then a couple other sales started around 8. But every sale I went to was like shitty. There was already people at them, which is like, you know, where I live out here, I'm usually the first one. And out there, it was like, you know, all these old guys, you know, looking for, you know, whatever. Jewelry usually. I look for jewelry if it's like, you know, there, and that's I don't know enough about it, but like anytime I go there and there's already an old guy looking through the jewelry, I just assume he's gonna take all the good shit, and I don't even waste my time. You know what I mean? If I'm there first, I'll look through it and look for fucking shit that I know, or try to buy it all. You know, see if they have a bundle price. But yeah, so then that was like, you know, we went to a few sales. I went to a couple sales then, and then I was like, all right, I'm just going to come back and pick up my wife and kids and go out to the 97 house sale, or the 97 houses sale, which of course didn't really, you know, wasn't really 97 houses. So then we like drove back, and we're doing some stuff with the kids, and my wife wanted to go to this place. It's called like Lobster in the Rough, I think it's in York, Maine. And that place is pretty sick. You can like sit outside, and they've got like a bar outside. There's always live music, and the kids can just run around. So like that was the first time we actually sat and chilled with the kids. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it was just like chasing them around. I didn't really do much drinking the entire trip. I haven't been drinking too much, but I did get fucked up on Saturday by accident. I'll get into that in a minute. But then we were driving around. So Saturday we were finishing up sales, and I found a sale because we went to like some festivals and shit. And then I found a sale, just like we found a sign for a sale. So we went and pulled in, and it was literally all glass and bullshit and nonsense. And I could see he had a garage like open with stuff in it too. So as I was walking there, I was like, you know, I could overhear the guy having the sale. It was an old guy. He was talking to this other guy. He's like, yeah, I've had this guy came back 3 times asking me to buy my hats in there. And he's like, I'll sell anything, but I'm not selling those hats. So I walk into the garage, and there's just vintage fucking hats, like all good shit, like all shit that just would make you money. And he knew they were worth money because he was talking to the guy, like he was like, oh yeah, he's like, you know, he knows that they're what they're worth if he's coming in here offering it, blah blah blah. I should have been like, what's your price? Like, what's your you don't want to sell it price? You know what I mean? Because sometimes resellers are just cheap as fuck. If he was like $10 a piece or something crazy, you know what I mean? I would have been like, oh okay, like let's fucking make this deal happen. But it was like one of those, it was again, at the end of the day, I'm like, he had already said all that shit. The guy came back 3 times. I'm like, he would have sold him if he, you know what I mean? He doesn't need another guy coming in and like, oh, I can convince you. So I was pretty like, as soon as I saw that I didn't even look at them. I didn't even want to look at, because I could see them. I looked up at once, and I saw some of the hats that were up there, and I'm like, I don't even want to look at these hats because I want to buy them, and this guy's not going to sell them. So that kind of sucked. That was like, I was like, man, I was hoping that I was going to get to buy some of those things, but it just didn't happen. And then Sunday actually ended up being the best day. This lady was having a sale at like 7 a.m. So I got there was already a couple people waiting, and then I went in, and it was like mostly like junk antique stuff, and like, you know, the antique guys were there buying their shit. So I was like, you know, she had a couple, like there's like a Boeing corduroy hat and like a couple. I was like, do you have any other like old clothes or, you know, hats or anything else that you're bringing out, you know? So she's like started bringing that stuff out for me, the clothing and stuff. I found some vintage t-shirts, some like a couple other things like vintage Johnson Johnson wool. I don't know if you've ever seen those. Like it's like buffalo plaid flannel. I had about 4 of those that were like toddler size, and all 4 of them sold like pretty quickly for like, $40 to $50, and those were the toddler size. So this is like the adult size. So this should get like 100 something bucks, hopefully. We'll see. Maybe 80 to 100. We'll see. I'm not going to get my hopes too high. So yeah, it was a bunch of clothes. And then she had like purses, and like, she was like, oh, I've got boots and purses in the garage if you want to go look at them. So I go and I'm looking at them after like I had looked at something else. And she was like, oh, actually, I'm going to bring those outside if you want to just go wait outside. So I was like, all right, cool. Like, she literally just told me to go in there and look at them. So she starts bringing them out and like dumping them on the ground. And this dude like comes up and just grabs a Dooney Bork purse like right as she fucking poured it out. I was like, this motherfucker. I got a couple Coach purses, but still, it's like, dude, I just went in there. She told me to come fucking out here, and this fucking dickhead just walks over and grabs it. I wanted to choke his ass out. But yeah, it was weird. It was a lot of people just showed up. It was a 7 a.m. sale, and she was not ready. I hate when people, it's like, why did you have a 7 o'clock sale if you weren't even going to, she was like, oh, I brought everything back in because I thought it was going to rain. I'm like, well, you have a fucking garage. Just do it in the garage. Like, I don't understand these people that make things so much more difficult than they have to be. And they're like, sorry, I'm not ready. It's like, yeah, the sale started at 7. Like, it's after 7 now. The time to not be ready was a while ago. So that was fun. So yeah, I mean, I did some thrifting or did some reselling stuff. Got some good stuff to sell. Not like anything crazy like it's been in the past, but hey. So yeah, so I'll tell a couple stories, just like random stuff. Because I think I'm coming up to like the end of the podcast. I think so. It's been broken up several times. I think I need to get to like 20 minutes or something, and that'll be the end. At 12, and then 22, that's 34. So 26, is that right? Yeah, I think. I don't know. So anyway, so yeah, we were out. This is why I couldn't remember half the shit we did, because I like broke it up into different stories. So we went to, what night was it? Friday night. It was hot as fuck. We took our kids to, they've got like this, it's like a really shitty, we think it's kind of sad because we both were like, oh, this is going to be the last year we take our kids here, huh? Like the rides are too small for my oldest, and like there's a cool little zoo, but it's kind of a shitty zoo. Like there's like a little butterfly exhibit, like they thought that was really cool, and they going through and doing all this shit. But yeah, I was just like watching my oldest on the rides. I was like, she needs a bigger ride. Like, this is not gonna do it for her next year. She's gonna be bored. This is gonna be for the little one. So I mean, we were thinking like, oh, maybe this will be the last time, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes next year. So we were out doing that, like, and that's outside all day, and we were basically like went to the pool. We were just doing shit outside all day, and so when it came time to dinner, my daughter was like, we were like, oh, what do you guys want to eat? Like, we let them pick because we had been picking or whatever. And at this point, I was just like, I really don't want, there's nothing really that I want at this point, And so she wanted pizza. So we're like, all right, there's a pizza place like near Agunquit, like it's in Agunquit, and if you know Agunquit, Maine, it's like it's super fucking packed almost all the time. Like if you're driving through Agunquit, there's this shitty intersection with like a bunch of bars and shit, and it's like it's a very pride heavy city, so there's like fucking pride flags everywhere. There's all types of shit going on, so it's very distracting. There's just a lot of shit going on, so it just takes forever to get through there. So there's like one pizza place before you have to get through all that nonsense, and like we were like, all right, let's just go to that pizza place. We've never been there before. Let's just do it, whatever. So like we'll get there early because we wanted to do ice cream. My kids have been bitching about getting ice cream the whole time. So we're like, all right, let's just go there. We'll get there, get dinner early, go get some ice cream, and then we'll go to a playground after so they can run off this ice cream. So we go to this restaurant and we get in, and my wife's like, do you want to sit inside or out? I'm like, definitely inside. Like, we've been outside all day. I want AC. Like, and as soon as you go in that place, the fucking AC like felt great. So we tell them this, and it's like a Pakistani guy and a black guy that are like the servers, no host. And I say this because as a server, you know, like who's as a former server, like when there's no host, they kind of like make sure shit like, you know, runs smoothly. Obviously, they seat you your section. They kind of make things fair, seating it up. When you leave the hostess stuff or hosting to the servers, they're going to be, it's like Lord of the Flies. Like, they're just going to sit you wherever the fuck they want so they can get, like, if it was, like, we were probably this dude's table, and he didn't want to give up his table. Because we were like, yeah, we want to sit inside. He's like, oh, he, like, looked at the other guy, and he's like, yeah, there's no, like, it's going to be a long wait. And this is at 5 o'clock. We're like, okay, well, like, what's the wait? And he's just like, it's just going to be, so we're like, all right, whatever, we'll sit outside. So we sit outside because it's the same situation as a place that didn't have the AC that time. It's like, we're there. I just don't want to even go anywhere else. We were early, whatever. So we sit down. Of course, my fucking youngest daughter at this point is like having a meltdown over God knows what. I think we did away with a high chair on this trip because, you know, she was being such a fucking shit when she didn't have we were trying to make her get in the high chair that we're like, whatever, maybe she's done with it. So she has a little meltdown. I take her to the car. I'm like, hey, just chill out, whatever. We go back. Now I'm fucking hot. I'm like, you know, I sit down. I'm like, have they come over yet? She's like, my wife's like, no. So I'm like, all right, like, they had to go to the bathroom. So they go to the bathroom. They still haven't come over yet. It's a fucking Pakistani guy. So I'm like, all right, I can't. I'm like getting hotter and hotter and madder and madder. And I'm just like, all right, either we're going to ask them if we can move inside or we're going to go somewhere else because I can't sit outside. It's too fucking hot. It's too hot. I don't want to be sitting outside. Like, I want to go. So we like go to get up. And of course, this dude sees us getting up. And that was the other thing too, is the table sat down after us, like 5 minutes after us. And they were already getting taken care of by the black dude. And the Pakistani dude is, I don't know what the fuck he was doing. And they were both like looking at each other, like trying to, you like see like, oh, are you gonna snitch? Are you gonna, you know what I mean? Like, so we get up and like we go to find. I'm like, all right, let's just walk to the back and see how long it would be to wait for inside. So we ask him again. We're like, hey, how long is the wait for inside? Like, it's too hot outside. We're not sitting outside. How long is the wait for inside? He's like, oh, it's gonna be a long time. And he kind of looks at the other guy like, and they both are just refusing to let us sit in the fucking restaurant. And I know it's not because I have kids. I mean, this is a place that's like a family vacation spot. You know what I mean? Like, there's kids everywhere at this place. It wasn't because of that. I think it was just that my wife and I both are like, these are shitty servers that like didn't want to give up their table. And this is what happens when you don't have a host. We were probably right before the hostess was probably coming in. I wanted to write a review so bad. I started writing it, and then I put the phone down to do something else and got distracted, and it kind of like erased or whatever. It didn't, you know what I mean? It like, so then I was like, fuck, I don't feel like writing this, but I still want to write a review like a week later because I was so fucking annoyed. I'm like, you just refuse to sit us inside. Like, how long is the wait for inside? So we just fucking left, went to another place. I was so annoyed because my plan was like, up until that point, I had been on fire with planning shit out. My wife was giving me props. I'm like, dude, everything's going great. So we go to this other place that has pizza, and we're like, oh, it's right up the street. We'll go there. We pull in. There's no cars in the parking lot. We're like, fuck yeah, dude, this is going to be awesome. We'll get right in and right out. Go up to the door. There's a sign, closed for a fucking special private event at 5 p.m. on a Friday. I'm like, motherfucker, are you kidding me? So then we go drive further, and we're like let's just drive until we find something. We'll stop at the first place. And there was this place, shout out to Mike's Clam Shack I think it's actually, I don't know if it's Mike's Clam Shack or Mike's Clam Restaurant. I forget what it's called. But it's in I think it's in Wells, or maybe it's York. I can't remember. Or maybe it is a Gunquit. I don't remember. It's in Maine, off like the main road. And every time we go there, like, it's quick. Like, we like going there. We're just like, all right, we want to try something else. So we're like, fuck it, let's just go there. So we go in there. They give us a thing for the table. They're like, all right, it's going to be like 20 minutes. If you find something at the bar, feel free to sit down. There's bar seating, whatever. You can sit with the kids. Tables get up right away. We take that table, boom. We got like the OG bar server, like if you've worked bar restaurant before, the OG bar servers that like they just know what the fuck. They know the situation. They're like, she could probably tell that was our third stop for a restaurant after like just how exhausted we looked. So she got us in, got us out, and yeah, basically got to the ice cream place the same time that we would have, and then we left, went to I don't know if we went to a playground or not, or we went for a walk. We took the kids back and we basically like ran them around the neighborhood where the cottage thing is. We were going to go to a playground, but it was too late. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about real quick, this is just the last little anecdote about the vacation. I know I talked way too much about the vacation. I didn't really talk about much else, but I didn't have much else going on reselling wise. So Saturday we went to that place where you can like, chill out and hang out and like drink outside or whatever. And I hadn't really been drinking much. I haven't been drinking much. So like, we were there. I just wanted an IPA in a can. I was like, can I just have whatever IPA you have in a can? So he gives it to me. I pour it. I'm drinking it. I finish it, get another one. And then I look at the can. I'm like, oh, these are 8% like alcohol. This probably is not going to be good. But once you pop, the fun don't stop, dude. It's like Pringles. So I think I had 3 of those. And then I was like, all right, I switched because we had brought beers with us. You're not supposed to do this, but I just like was fucking opening my beers and pouring them in the cup. So I had like 2 of those like session IPAs, so like the small, like the less alcohol. And I just all of a sudden I was wrecked. I was like, fuck, because normally we're watching the kids, like and I'm not like one of those drinkers who's like, once I start drinking I can't stop. I can 100% stop drinking, but I was just chilling. I was having a good time, and like my wife even said, she's like, you're drinking those kind of fast. I'm like, yeah, I wasn't even paying attention to how fast I was drinking them. I just chug shit. And so like we go to leave there, and I'm like, my wife hadn't really had that many drinks because she's responsible, and we had been eating and shit. We'd been there for a few hours, so she's like, I'll just drive. Like, you're obviously not going to be driving. So we left. I stopped drinking, of course, at that point, and we get to like this beach playground. We let the kids run around. So I'm starting to feel better. Like, at one point I thought I was going to be done. Like, I was like, fuck, I'm going to be like shit faced for the rest of the night. And it started to like sober up a little bit. And so I was like, oh, let's get Chinese food. So we ordered Chinese food. And for some reason I had this one place in my mind, but we didn't order from this place. We ordered from another place for whatever reason. I don't know why. So we go to pick up the food, and I go in, and I'm like, yeah, I think my wife ordered it. So I'm like, yeah, I have an order for Amy. And so the girl, it's like a white lady, and she's like, the races are important for these stories. So she's like, oh, I don't think I have an Amy, but I have Katie. So I was like, oh, well, I don't, she's like, what did you have? And I tell her to have, she's like, well, honestly, like they took the order and they probably put Katie by accident. Like, talking about the Asian owners who were the Asian, like, it was just like straight up racist. Like, she's like, oh yeah, she probably just didn't hear it right. So I pay for the order. I go back. We start going through it. My wife's like, this isn't the right order. Like, it's similar, but it's not. And she's like, and it's like more money. So then we get a phone call from the restaurant. They're like, hey, you never picked up your order. So she's like, I did. I picked it up, and like they gave it to me as Katie, blah, 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 blah. So we finally figured it out. My drunk ass ordered from the wrong Asian restaurant, and we went and picked it up at another Asian restaurant. And the only reason that story like happened was because this white lady was like, yeah, the Asians probably fucking fucked up the name. Like, what are you going to do? And just gave us somebody else's order. So my wife's asking for a discount from the other place because she's like, yeah, we overpaid. We didn't get our order, and we're paying more money for this order. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? You never picked up your order. So it was like a whole thing. It was like a 20-minute thing before we finally realized that my drunk ass ordered and picked up from the wrong place. So yeah, that's why I don't drink anymore. But anyway, that's the podcast. Make sure you subscribe and like. Hopefully there's more reselling content coming in the future as I'm back from vacation. I'm going to be hitting it hard in the next few days. I do have a Whatnot auction coming up. I haven't decided if I want to switch over to eBay Live. I'm going to try an eBay Live. But I'll figure that out today, and I'll post that somewhere so that the information is there once it is posted. But yeah, thanks, and I'll be back again next week. Peace.